Audio test one, two, three. Audio test one, two, three. Good morning, everyone who's attending us physically in our board hearing room. I'd like to welcome everyone this morning. And if there are any members of the public who are joining us this morning who wish to offer commentary, public commentary, or commentary on any of our items this morning, if you would please go ahead and fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room on the table, provide your information, which item you'd like to speak on, and hand it to me. I'll record your information for the record. And good morning as well to our attendees joining us via the Zoom virtual platform. If there are any attendees on Zoom who wish to offer public commentary or commentary on any of our items this morning, if you would kindly press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute at this time. I will record your name for the record and which item you'd like to speak on. And seeing Denise C., if you would kindly unmute yourself and let me know which item you'd like to speak on.
Hi.
Hi, Denise.
I have to go. I'm gonna have to call back. I'm sorry. I'm at work. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought I had to.
Okay. Denise, do you wish to offer commentary on any of our items this morning, or are you just observing? Okay, I'll make one more call out as we get closer to starting our meeting. If there's any other member of the public who wishes to offer commentary on any of our items this morning via this virtual platform, if you'd please press *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. I can record your name and information for the record. And caller ending in 645. Caller ending in 645, if you would please unmute yourself. Identify yourself for the record and which item you'd like to speak on. I'll record your name for the record. Go ahead, caller.
This is Jamie Hall. Jamie Hall with the Laurel Canyon Association. I'd like to speak on item number 5.
All right, Mr. Hall, I've recorded your information for the record and the item number 5 that you're going to offer commentary on. I'm going to go ahead and mute you at this time, and I will call on you when we reach item number 5. Are there any other public commenters or members of the public who wish to offer commentary on any of our items this morning joining us via the virtual platform? If there are, please press *9 to raise your hand. Caller ending in 807. Caller ending in 807, if you would please unmute yourself. Identify yourself for the record and which item you'd like to speak on. I'll record your name for the record. *6 to unmute. Caller ending at 807, you should be receiving a pop-up on your Zoom screen asking you to unmute. If you'd go ahead and click that, identify yourself, which item you'd like to speak on. Go ahead, caller.
Hi.
Hello, caller. We can hear you. Please identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hello.
Caller, if you could please turn down your secondary device. Caller ending at 807, if you're listening to the meeting on a secondary device, if you'd please mute that device. Go ahead and unmute yourself, identify yourself for the record and which item you'd like to speak on. Okay, thank you so much, caller. All right, and once again, we are ready to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and put us in record mode. And we are now in record mode, President Garcia.
Thank you for that, TJ. All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting for the Board of Public Works for Wednesday, January 17, 2024. TJ Knight?
Yes, good morning, Madam President Garcia. TJ Knight, Assistant Executive Officer, taking role in establishing quorum. President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, Commissioner Reyes are present. We do have a quorum. We are also joined by City Attorney Representative Virginia Choi. Once again, I'm Assistant Executive Officer TJ Knight. President Garcia, we have one speaker card under public comment. We have no neighborhood council commentary, and we have speaker cards under all of our items this morning, including two virtual attendees under item number 5.
Thank you for that. TJ, did you say we had public comment on general via Zoom?
Via Zoom, no.
Okay.
We have one in-person comment.
Okay, we do have one in person.
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the in-person public comment. Mike Greenspan?
And you have 2 minutes to offer your public comment.
Mike Greenspan, and I'm here, and guess who's not here? Mike Davis, President Pro Tem. Vahid Khorsand, Commissioner. I hope I pronounced the name right. After all, you board members make $100,000 a year. I expect you to show up. TJ Knight, the Assistant Executive Officer, is here. He's on company time. The City Attorney, whose name I don't know, she's on company time. Guess what? When you folks don't show up, I mean, we barely have a quorum. Are we going to start deducting from your $100,000 a year salary when you don't show up? How shameful it is. I mean, unless they went to a public works convention someplace, and we should have then canceled the meeting or postponed it to another day. But we didn't. These absent members are just flourishing. A big, fat $100,000 a year paycheck. None of the other boards or commissions in LA pay anything. So we expect more from this board. We really do. It's the taxpayers' money that they seem to think it's their country club. And it's not. Your agenda items never give a cost of anything. I compared it this morning to the city council agenda, and a couple of bonds. One's going to be $100 million, one's $21,250,000. Well, I don't agree with those bonds. I definitely would not give a good interest rate due to the city's financial problems. But guess what? At least they list it. And remember, folks, one thing I have to say, this Jew won't go back to Florida, you fish eaters. Thank you.
And President Garcia, we do have one other public commenter in the room.
Very well. We'll take second public comment. Herman?
And you have 2 minutes to offer your commentary.
Per curum, the opinion of Watts versus the United States, hyperbole. The court noted that the language of the political arena is often verburative, abusive, and inexact. And nature of the statements and the reaction of the listeners, the court ruled that Watts' statement was not a true threat. And that's what we keep hearing about the First Amendment. Donald Trump proved that Iowa wants Donald Trump, just like I and many others, because we're tired of the riffraff criminal elements that are going on within our local government. For example, item 1 and 6 of this agenda talking about Curran Price, who has 10 indictments and is going to go to a prison. And why is that? Because Curran Price lied about his marriage. Being out there in Maui, Hawaii, and his fake wife, or his bigamous relationship, and he lied to the city of Los Angeles, and more so, he lied to the public. Curran DeMille Price lied to the public just as much as Mitchell Englander, Mark Ridley Thomas, and Jose Luis Huizar. So I'm not going to go on and elaborate about how this stealing goes on all these bonds and all these grants and all these transfers of money is going on, but there's some real element of criminal racketeering going on in the city of Los Angeles, and it should stop. It should stop because the hardworking, dumb people of Los Angeles, you Angelinos, are paying for it because none of you want to speak up. For example, as I brought out Watts, 394 U.S. 705, 1969, decided April 21st, 1969. 42 U.S.C. 1983, politely, bye.
2 minutes.
Thank you. Public comments now officially closed. Moving on to the approval of the minutes of Friday, December 15, 2023. Is there a second to my motion to approve this item?
Second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. TJ Knight, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to approve the minutes of Friday, December 15, 2023.
Very good. And we will take a roll call vote, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is approved.
Thank you for that. All right, well, good morning to everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meeting for, if believe it or not, we're already halfway through the month. So welcome everybody that's here in person and those that are joining us in the social platform. We look forward to having a pretty good meeting today. We have pretty good agenda items, and so let's get right to it. We'll start with item number 1. This is a request from the Bureau of Engineering in Council Districts 1, 4, 9, 10, 13, and 14. And I do have 2 public comment cards for that. Greenspan. We'll start with Greenspan. Sorry. Let me take public comment first.
Yes, now it's the taxpayers' money. As always, remember, it's not a private country club. This is the Board of Public Works. And even if it was a private...
You need to stay relevant to topic item number 1.
I am. We're talking about public funding, and even at private places, the public has to have an input because they have to rely on city services, paved roads, water, sewer, whatever, street lights. So even with private stuff, it has to be approved by the public in public meetings as it's affected. Now, we're talking about a sewer. And let me read this one from Ramona Incorporated. Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, Difficult Access Reach 06 Northeast Los Angeles / Silver Lake / Boyle Heights / South Los Angeles. Goes through Council District 1, 4, the Curran Price District, Council 9, 10, 13, 14. And what is it? You get to adjust bid items and allowance items. It sounds like we're very vague on the cost. I would at least would like a ballpark figure, give or take a little bit. Remember, the city labels its stuff on council items. Why doesn't the Board of Public Works? Have they not done an assessment? Are we just writing blank checks? I'm very concerned about that. We seem to think that money grows on trees out here. Well, it doesn't. Last I checked, people earn it, they pay taxes, they expect services, and I just want to know how much it all costs.
2 minutes.
Next public comment, I have name of Trump. Please do not make any noises that are not relevant. This is your first and only warning to both of you.
So on item 1, regarding blank checks and costs, what is the effective budget? Apparently, we're already being threatened by the president, Ms. Aurora Garcia, because she likes to cover up on these access issues of what the public's input is on blank checks and costs. Do we have a check and balance here? Because apparently it doesn't seem that we do. And we're finding out that Ms. Garcia, the president of Public Works, is covering up or fraudulently padding or greasing her palms with these hidden public inputs of effective budgets and costs. Just for example, as you heard the speaker mention current DeMille price in CD9. Look at CD1, CD4, CD10, CD13, CD14. When Curran Price lied about his bigamous relationship between two wives and collected a salary and benefits.
Please stay to the topic.
But
That has
it
nothing
has
to do with
the
sewer.
budget. And the budget of Boyle Heights and South Los Angeles has a secondary shit of sewer renewal. And that program is the shit that Curran Price cost us, the taxpayers. So don't tell me I'm off topic. Just because you dislike what we're bringing out about current DeMille price, it is a relevant subject matter of importance. So as long as you're a tyrant, as long as you want to course what we have to say, what you want the input and the morale to be, or what the public speakers have to say about corruption, criminal enterprise, you are that fat thing.
Thank you. Public comment for item number 1 is now officially closed. This is our change order number 67 for Ramona Inc., Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, Difficult Access Reach 06 Northeast, Los Angeles Silver Lake, Boyle Heights, South Los Angeles. Recommending the board to 1, authorize the city engineer to issue deductive final closeout change order number 67 to Ramona Inc. for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program, Difficult Access Reach 06 Northeast, Los Angeles, Silver Lake, Boyle Heights, South Los Angeles, to adjust bid items and allowance items. And this morning, we have Mr. Huffman here.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning.
To the security officer, please do not allow him back in. I had already given him a warning. Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Good morning. Willis Huffman from Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. This board report is seeking authorization to issue final closeout change order number 67 to Ramona Inc. for the Secondary Sewer Renewal Program Difficult Access Reach 6 and the amount of a credit of $971,366.50. This project was awarded to Ramona on September 4th, 2019 in an amount of $12.3 million with a contingency of $618,000 for a total approved construction budget of $12.9 million. The scope of work consisted of remove and replace or rehabilitating 5.1 miles of sewer pipe ranging from 6 inches to 15 inches. The scope of work completed was within Northeast Los Angeles, Silver Lake, Boyle Heights, and South Los Angeles. The statement of completion was received on June 14, 2023. Final closeout change order 67 adjusts bid item quantities, deletes unused allowance item amounts, and provides full and final settlement of all claims and or requests for equitable adjustments for the construction work performed on the project. There is a total bid item adjustment reduction of $876,379, a total allowance adjustment reduction of $128,007, and a lump sum agreed price of $33,020 for additional work, which resulted in a total contract reduction of $971,366.50. Since this amount exceeds the city engineer's authority, we are requesting board authorization to issue this change order. The reason for the large credit is due to the fact that about 2/3 of the project's sewer reaches did not have a defined scope during design because the sewer pipes were located along hillsides or within easements, making it difficult to access and obtain CCTV video. The contract included a budget to cover these sewers costs. However, after they were videoed, it was found that a majority of the sewer lines were only needed a lining rehab, which is a lot cheaper than open cut, remove, and replace. In addition, just a little background, this work was performed within those sewer easements and on private properties that require coordination with residents while maintaining livability. This change order has no impact to the general fund and no additional funding is required. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Very well. Thank you for that, Mr. Huffman. Any questions, colleagues? Hearing none. Any objections? Hearing none. Mr. Huffman, this is the last closeout you said? After this, we're done in that area? For now?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, good. And there doesn't seem to have any other issues, right?
No, no. it's
Okay,
close.
well, I don't have an issue with this. Is there a second to my motion to approve item number 1?
Second.
Thank you, VP and Dr. Davis. TJ Knight, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas and Dr. Davis to move item number 1 forward and forthwith.
Very good, and we will take a roll call vote on item number 1, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is approved.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huffman. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 2, this is a request from the Bureau of Sanitation. And I do have 2 public comment cards, and do we have any public comment via Zoom?
We do not.
Okay. I'm going to just call out the name. Greenspan? Greenspan? Moving on. Trump? Trump. Moving on. Public comment for item number 2 is now officially closed. This is a request in Council District 7, 11, 14, and 15. Transfer agreements and addenda Save Clean Water Regional Round 4, fiscal year 2023-2024, Los Angeles County Flood Control District. Recommending the board to, 1, approve and forward this report with its transmittal to the mayor and authorize the president of the Board of Public Works or 2 members of the board and the director of Bureau of Sanitation to enter into 6 separate regional transfer agreements between the city of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles County Flood Control District for the transfer of Safe Clean Water Regional Program funds for Hollenbeck Park Lake Rehabilitation Project, Sylmar Channel Project, Wilmington Anaheim Green Infrastructure Corridor Project, Bureau Street Services Eagle Rock Boulevard, a multimodal street stormwater capture project, and Imperial Highway Green Infrastructure Corridor Project, Machado Lake Ecosystem Rehabilitation Operation and Maintenance, collectively referred to as SCW Round 4, fiscal year 2023-2024 regional projects. That's a whole lot in there. All right, keep going, because it doesn't stop. Recommendation number 2, authorize the Director of Bureau of Sanitation to execute any addenda through completion of the project so long as not materially inconsistent with the regional TAs and substantially in form included as an exhibit to the regional TAs. Okay, you're gonna have to explain that recommendation. Recommendation number 3, authorize the Director of Bureau of Sanitation to accept for future SCW program funds, conduct negotiations, provide information, and submit all program documents, including but not limited to project reports, updated scope of work documents, agreements, and amendments, subject to the approval of the city attorney as to form, that are necessary to secure funding with respect to the implementation of the SCW Round 4 regional projects. And last, recommendation number 4, recommend the use of electronic signature to execute the regional TAs and future addenda in lieu of wet signatures. And upon such execution by the board, request that the city clerk to attest and certify the electronic copies of the regional TAs and addenda. All right, well, I'm glad you're here to explain all of this, Mr. Perry.
Perfect. Good morning,
Welcome.
President. Cool. Good morning, President Garcia, Vice President Villegas, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Reyes. My name is Brett Perry, and I'm an acting environmental engineer with the Safe Clean Water Implementation Division at LA Sanitation and Environment. Today, I'm pleased to present this item regarding the approval of 6 individual transfer agreements to accept regional Safe Clean Water program funding over the next 5 years for 6 different water quality improvement projects. In round 4 of the regional Safe Clean Water program, the city successfully competed for $56.5 million for these 6 projects between the Upper Los Angeles River, Central Santa Monica Bay, and South Santa Monica Bay watershed areas. These projects include the Hollenbeck Lake Rehabilitation Project in CD14, which was awarded $25.2 million, the Sylmar Channel Project in CD7, which was awarded $9.8 million, the Wilmington Anaheim Green Infrastructure Corridor Project in CD15, awarded $10.3 million, the Imperial Highway Green Infrastructure Corridor Project in CD11, which was awarded $5.2 million, Streets LA's Eagle Rock Boulevard, a multimodal stormwater capture project in CD14, which was awarded $7.6 million, and the Machado Lake Ecosystem Rehabilitation Operation and Maintenance Effort in CD15, which was awarded $3.2 million. After almost a year of development, these project funding applications were submitted in July of 2022 for potential funding. They were vetted and selected through a 12-month competitive process, which were facilitated by a series of regional stakeholder committees facilitated by the county and approved by the County Board of Supervisors in August of 2023. LASAM would like to thank Commissioner Villegas for her guidance, involvement, and advocacy for the Safe Clean Water Program in this and previous rounds. These projects will each be delivered as individually contracted projects and will each deliver a suite of water quality, water supply, and community investment benefits to the residents of the city. Each transfer agreement has a scope of work, also provided as a transmittal to this board report that outlines the specific scope, cost, schedule, and benefits of each project. Our round 4 applications were competitive in the Regional Safe Clean Water Program due to their extensive benefits, the robust support expressed from our project partners and communities, as well as a total of $51.8 million of leveraged funding that the city has lined up for these 6 projects from a variety of sources, including Propo, ATP funds, municipal safe clean water funds, project partners, and other sources. To summarize, the recommendations within this report are to approve and forward these transfer agreements to the mayor and city council so they can authorize the president of the Board of Public Works or 2 members of the board and the director and general manager of LASAN to enter into these 6 separate funding transfer agreements from the Regional Safe Clean Water Program with the county, as well as authorize the director of LASAN or designee to execute any addendum or other administrative documentation necessary to receive the awarded annual funding amounts through completion of the projects, so long as they are not materially inconsistent with the transfer agreement. Thank you for your time and consideration on this item. I'm here with my managers to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Perry, for that very thorough report. Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Villegas?
Thanks. I don't have questions, just recognizing that the Bureau of Sanitation has successfully, along with Bureau of Street Services, both have collectively garnered $56 million from Los Angeles County Regional Program that oversees the Safe Clean Water. It's a big feat on their part to put these proposals together and work competitively throughout the entire county. And for the city of Los Angeles, we represent the city for 3 watersheds, and those are all competitive. So I just wanted to recognize the Bureau for that effort. And then today we have this, acceptance of grants before us. But I will say at $56 million, before us, when this Bureau of Sanitation staff come before us, we also recognize the need for either additional on-call consultants from our list. We also recognize just the amount of work that goes into each and every project, and then keeping deadlines in place as well. So thank you for all of your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Commissioner Reyes?
Just to echo VP Villegas's remarks, thank you for all the work that has gone through, and 56 million is no small deal. My question has something to do with costs after the projects are implemented. Is there a bucket of money? Is it budgeted? Where are we getting the funding? Do we need to apply for additional grants? I know some of them, there's one where it's an O&M project, but the rest are not. So that's one question. And the other question I have is on the community outreach activities. Should there be other feedback that we get from the community? How is that processed or addressed in this particular grant?
Thank you very much for those questions. To the first question, for the O&M of each of these projects, of course, each one has a unique situation and set of scenarios, but specifically with the Safe Clean Water program, we are able to return to the regional program and ask for O&M funding.
Okay.
That would be a full other application process. So it would take a year, and we have to go and defend the request to the regional stakeholder committees. But that is an option being pursued for many of the larger projects. We do also receive from the Safe Clean Water program a regular sum from the municipal program. It's about $35 million a year, and it goes to various efforts within LA Sanitation and the city. But there is a portion of that funding that is set aside for the operation and maintenance of existing projects such as Prop O, and then these projects, the new projects, would be added into that system. So in terms of the details, would have to follow up on any one particular project, but in general, there are those two large funding sources that would be pursued. As when the design's complete, we'll have a much better idea of the exact estimates for the operation and maintenance of the projects. In terms of the community outreach, a lot of these projects, we do bring them to a feasibility or 30% design level for the application. And so there is an extensive amount of work that still needs to be done to complete the design of these projects. So the public outreach started all the way back. As I mentioned, the application was due in July of 2022. So, and even before that, it was in development for probably about 9 months ahead of time. So throughout that entire time, we do have a public outreach team, and they help us reach out to the community, neighborhood councils, various stakeholders, and we do provide different workshops, webinars. I know there's surveys for different attributes of the projects, learning what the community prioritizes or preferences in terms of plantings or other community investments, and that will continue all the way through construction. But especially during these next couple of years when we're completing the design, there is still plenty of opportunity to really lock in what the scope of these projects are with the input from that community that we gain through that program.
That's good to know that we keep the public informed of the progress and that we look into whatever feedback they have that may significantly impact the project. So thank you for that.
Appreciate it.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Reyes. Dr. Davis?
I think everything has been said, but I just wanted to compliment the Bureau and those, our Vice President and others who have been working on this effort for Safe Clean Water Regional Round 4 and the success that we hope that we will experience as a result of having obtained these grants. And this transfer agreement will be hopefully a vehicle by which all of those particular projects that are identified in this motion will be projects demonstrating the excellence of the city of Los Angeles in terms of us managing our own footprint as it relates to safe, clean water and how we can effectively utilize it for this region. We expect nothing less than moving forward, you're being able to accomplish the same amount of necessary funding that will be important for us to sustain our very own region. So again, I just wanted to compliment you in terms of this motion and the great work that you have done in presenting this effort to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Davis, for that. I echo what my colleagues are saying. $56 million has not been, I imagine, has not been an easy task to obtain. Although I do have some technical questions, mostly on the recommendations that you have before me. And so I just need some clarity on what you're trying to gain from, not gain, but what you're trying to achieve with recommendation 3. It seems like we're, for $56 million, I get it, there's a lot to do there. But can you explain to me what you're trying to achieve with recommendation 3?
Yeah, absolutely. So just, I guess, zooming out a little bit, each of these projects are approved for a 5-year cash flow of reward.
500?
5 years? Over
5 years,
the course of
okay.
5 years. So the first year is secured funding, and that is what is distributed to us through the transfer agreement. And then in the next of the subsequent 4 years, adding up to the 5 years, we have to execute an addendum to that transfer agreement. And if everything with the project is going smoothly, it just is a piece of paper that allows us to get the next funding distribution from the district. So essentially, when a project's been approved for 5 years of funding, we get 1 year of funding each year with those addendums. So a lot with those, it's just an effort to be able to execute the addendums as expedited as possible. and to be able to receive that funding to keep the project moving forward smoothly. So with each addendum, there is an opportunity to modify your scope of work or what you've been promising to the county you'll perform with the project. But if there was a more substantial edit like that, we would come back for additional permission. It's just if a project is healthy and moving along as expected, we'd like to be able to quickly execute that addendum to receive that next distribution of funding that I believe is outlined in a table in the board report. And I'm happy if, I don't know if Andrea has anything to add, but.
Mr. Sakuda, you want to come up?
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Scudetto with the Bureau of Sanitation. Just wanted to echo what everything Brett said and just relay that this has been discussed a couple of times on various rounds, and it's found that this approach fits the program. The reason why is it allows the bureaus, as well as Bureau of Street Services, the flexibility to negotiate with the county. And I'll give you an example about how this scenario and this method has paid off. We have situations where our projects are not following the original schedule because of the time it takes for the county to actually transfer the money. So there are some situations where we can defer or push back some of our program funds to better align with the project and the program. And that allows the overall program flexibility to program new projects elsewhere. So it's really kind of a little bit of flexibility that's built into the program. It's worked well so far.
Correct, and that's literally and Virginia, I'll call you in a bit too. That's what I'm exactly referring to. I don't want us to hold back the process or interrupt the project, not at all. But I also don't want for the Bureau of Sanitation to get into an agreement of either changing the scope of work or changing our deliverables without the approval of the board, because either we're gonna match more money to it, more funding to it, or we change the scope. So I would want to be in a position where you guys can execute everything, agreements, everything. But when it comes to changing the scope of work or changing our deliverables, that's where I think the board really needs to see, because we want to make sure we know what we're agreeing to with the county. And by giving full delegation to your bureau, it would take us out of that process.
I definitely understand
Go ahead.
where you're coming from. We work in conjunction with the Safe Clean Water Administrative Oversight Committee, which is comprised of the CLA, the CAO, and the Mayor's Office. They are also, too, looking at that. The program is very dynamic and it's growing from an administrative standpoint. There's new processes that are being added each year. I think we've heard your concern, and the way we've been able to address what you're concerned. We've been doing semi-annual reports on project updates.
I was
And there is
thinking
something-
quarterly, actually, but semi-annual would work.
one of those two. I know the next one is coming up in March or April. And so at that time, if there was a major project element or scope that was going to be taken out or deviated from, we would update the board there and give you a heads up about what we would expect during
Okay,
the
let me confirm with our city attorney. Virginia, and with recommendation 3 or 4 or 2 at this point, does that take us out of the equation from us knowing when Bureau of Sanitation will be changing the scope of work or any deliverables? I just want to confirm that. I'm not giving that up yet.
I think that would depend on how sanitation would go about it. I think we were told here right now that this is mostly to just get the funding, the next round of funding, because it's a yearly disbursement. Is that correct?
Yes.
And with this, I don't know if the scope of work, would that potentially change with the addenda? And if so, I would think that
If we were to change the scope of work, we would be at jeopardy of having those program funds come to us.
Okay.
I think if that were to occur, we could definitely brief the board that we were expecting that and work through that with you.
Okay, I think that sounds fair. And then just lastly, is there a reason why we want to, this is the first time I see changing from electronic signature to wet signature. Is there a reason for that?
Efficiencies with the county, and the longer they hold our money, the more interest they get.
Okay. Okay, so with what you just previously said, Mike, is that we would be, in TJ, we're going to include this report back semi-annually starting now. So we're in January, we'll hear from you again in July, June, July?
We already have scheduled reports on the calendar with.
You do, here for us?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, this comes up, we have a lot of them coming. Okay, so you'll come back, when are you coming back? Is it July, June?
April.
Oh, April, okay. Okay, so thank you for reassuring me that the board would still be able to make any changes, or at least know the changes that we're agreeing to with the county. Okay, all right, I don't have any other issues now. Any questions, colleagues? Any, Vice President
Just
Villegas?
make a comment. Any scope change on these projects, because the county is the administering agency, they are in, like Mr. Scaduto said, they would be in jeopardy of losing funds.
Okay, agreed.
So they are locked in. Any changes that are going to be made, they also need to be reporting them to the regional board, but it just opens up a lot of other additional steps.
Okay, got it. Understood. Thank you for that, Vice President. All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Is there a motion on the table to move item number 2 forward and forthwith?
So moved.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. TJ Knight, so first by Vice President Villegas, and a second by Commissioner Reyes to move item number 2 forward and forthwith.
Very good. We'll take a roll call vote on item number 2, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, item number 2 is approved unanimously. Also, for the record, the Safe Clean Water and Stormwater Capture Programs updates, next scheduled presentation for an oral report before your board is April 17th.
Okay, very well. Thank you. See you in April. Moving on to item number 3, this is a request in all council districts. I do have 2 public comment cards. And do we have any public comment via Zoom for item 3?
Let me go ahead and double check. We do not.
Okay. Public comment for item number 3, I have Greenspan. Greenspan. Moving on. I, letter I. Letter I. Hearing none. And since we do not have any public comment via the Zoom platform, public comment for item number 3 is now officially closed. This is a grant agreement with the United States Department of Agriculture, Office of Urban Agriculture and Innovation Production, Composting and Food Waste Reduction Program, Growing Community Through Compost in LA project. Recommending the board to, 1, approve and forward this report with its transmittal to the mayor and city council with the recommendation that the city council, subject to concurrence of the mayor, authorize the director of Bureau of Sanitation to negotiate, accept, execute, and submit all documents, including but not limited to applications, agreements, and amendments, and payment requests, etc., subject to the approval of the city attorney as to form, which may be necessary to secure grant funds for the growing community through Compost in LA project from the United States Department of Agriculture, Office of Urban Agriculture and Innovation Protection, Composting and Food Waste Reduction Program. That is a long title. This morning we have Ms. Valencia. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, board. My name is Jocelyn Valencia, an environmental engineering associate with LA Sanitation and Environment in the Solid Resources Support Services Division. LA San is requesting the authority to apply, negotiate, accept, and execute a grant agreement from the United States Department of Agriculture Composting and Food Waste Reduction Program. The project, titled Growing Community Through Compost in LA, aims to promote composting and food waste reduction in the city. The Growing Community Through Compost project proposes the expansion of the community compost network in LA. The project will promote hyper-local composting and provide Angelenos across the city with a means to divert and recycle food waste, support regenerative practices, and produce vital soil for their communities. This grant expands on the successful elements of the CFWR grant previously funded in the 2021 through 2023 cycle, which included composting co-ops, farmers market drop-off sites, and regional composting hubs, and expands to include edible food rescue and environmental restoration. For this grant cycle, the City and LA Compost will continue to collaborate to expand both farmers market food waste drop-offs to a total of 20 sites, and the community composting program. All Angelinos will benefit from attending various farmers market locations across the city, as well as local community gardens and green spaces. The extended network of food waste collection points at farmers markets will divert a significant amount of organic waste directly from households to a hyperlocal regional composting hubs on city lands. The 6 proposed regional composting hubs will be located throughout the city, allowing for the expansion of the farmers market drop-off locations with a geographically nearby composting hub. The regional hubs are being developed in coordination with LA Rec and Parks, and final site selection is still pending, other processes and agreements. Once all regional hubs have been identified and developed, the final list of markets can be developed to ensure sites across all major regions of the city. LA San has requested federal funding in the amount of $400,000 to develop and sustain the farmers market drop-off locations and regional compost hubs. This program will increase access to compost, improve soil quality through the application of compost, and divert food waste from landfills through the food waste drop-off sites. This is a collaborative effort between LA San, LA Compost, and many other community partners participating across the various sites. LA San applied for a USDA compost and food waste reduction grant in the amount of $400,000, which is 75% of the total project costs of $535,096. LA San is covering the match through in-kind personnel labor, representing 25% of the non-federal match. There will be no impact to the general fund. LA San anticipates receiving notice from the USDA on grant awards by next month. Thank you. That concludes my presentation. I am now open to taking questions.
Thank you for that, Ms. Valencia. Any questions, colleagues? Seeing none. Any comments? Well, I want to congratulate again the Bureau of Sanitation for another yet grant award. What is the total grant award?
$400,000 is what we're requesting.
Okay, and what is the timeline?
So it would be from March of 2024 to April of 2026.
2 years.
Yes, 2 years.
Okay. And do we have plans on how to sustain the hubs and the work that we're gonna do now after the 2 years?
So just give me 1 second.
No
please.
problem.
I'm going to call
Because 2 years go by really fast.
Yeah, they do.
By the time we implement this and we're actually doing it, it'll be a year and a half. So I just want to make sure that we have some kind of a plan of action after the 2 years. It could be just reapplying, but I just want to make sure we have something. Go ahead.
Good morning, Board. James Rosca.
You can move it. It's okay.
James Rosca, Acting Environmental Engineer from LA San. 2 points I do want to clarify and to also answer your question. This is just an application for this round of grant. We have not been formally awarded yet from the USDA.
Okay.
We're planning or hoping to hear decisions by the end of next month. So we're still waiting for a notice from the USDA on selection.
Okay.
To your question on sustaining the program beyond the previous grant we received, and this existing grant that we're applying for, we're going to work through our annual budget process to basically identify funds. We're currently using Fund 46D, which is our CRTF Community Recycling Trust Fund, to basically support the administration of this grant. So we're going to continue looking for both internal funds through the budget process as well as through continuing to apply for these types of grants to support the continuation and expansion of the program.
Very well. Thank you for that. Can you let me know at the end of the month if you've been awarded? This is exciting.
Yes, of course. As soon as we find out, you guys will all be the first to hear.
Very well. Thank you for that. Okay, colleagues. Commissioner Reyes?
Just also want to congratulate you for looking at this grant and making that application. I hope that we get it because we really need it, considering that we generate 3,000 tons of food waste every day that technically goes into the landfill. For now, although we do have the mandate to divert our food scraps away from the landfill, this grant will be very helpful. And I think really also focusing into the regenerative element of this that could help our household residents also compost in their own backyard. So it's really looking at in-basin type of capacity building. And that's why I love this grant. I really hope that we will be able to increase our capacity for our food recovery and food waste diversion from our landfill. So thank you. Please really, keep us posted, as President Garcia said.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Reyes. And I do also want to highlight the board's efforts for the support on the application of the first round of the grant, as well as the additional funding he provided us through the ARP funds. So in addition to the USDA grant, we also had funds from the board to also support LA Compost. So that work will that work will still continue through the end of 2024, regardless of the decision on this grant round. And then, as you mentioned, we'll just continue to work in this space to continue expanding and finding other opportunities.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to both. Okay, colleagues, is there a motion on the table to approve item number 3?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes. Second, Dr. Davis. TJ Knight, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 3 forward and forthwith.
Very well, we'll take a roll call vote, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is approved.
Very well. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day. Moving on to item number 4, this is a request from the Bureau of Street Services. I do have 2 public comment cards for that. They both have the same name, so I'm just going to read one out. Trump, and last call. Thank you for that. TJ Knight, do we have any public comment via the Zoom platform?
Not for item number 4.
Not for item number 4. Okay, moving on. Public comment for item number 4 is now officially closed. This is a request from the Bureau of Street Service and the Council District 4. Mr. Ramirez, I hadn't seen you there all morning. Good to see you. Tree removal at 444 East Universal Hollywood Drive, recommending the board to 1, fine under the California Public Resource Code, Section 21166, and the state's Environmental Quality Act Guidelines, Section 15162, on the basis of substantial evidence contained in the whole record that since the city's prior certification environmental impact report number ENV-2007-0254-EIR, there have been no changes to the project, changes with respect to the circumstances under which the project is being undertaken, or new information of substantial importance concerning the project, which caused new significant environmental effects or a substantial increase in the severity of a previous identified significant effects, and therefore no subsequent EIR, supplemental EIR, or other analysis is required for the project. All right. 2, specify that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division, located at 1149 South Broadway, is custodian of the documents or other material that constitute the record of proceedings upon which the board's decision is based. And 3, review and approve the request for a fee permit to remove 11 Coast Life oak trees and 2 Toyon shrubs. Tree shrub replacements are required. And with that, I turn that over to you, Mr. Ramirez.
Good morning, Honorable Board of Public Works. Again, my name is Brian Ramirez, and I'm presenting this item for you and the general public. What we have before us, again, is a request for this board to approve a fee permit to remove 13 trees and shrubs, which include 11 Coast Live oak trees and 2 Toyon shrubs for grading in relation to NBC Universal Evolution Plan, and tree and shrub replacements are required. For this, NBC Universal is currently constructing a new entertainment attraction within the Universal Studios theme park located at 444 North Universal Hollywood Drive in Council District 4. Within the community plan area of Sherman Oaks, Studio City, Toluca Lake, Cahuenga Pass. The project development is primarily within an unincorporated portion of the Los Angeles County. However, a significant portion of the theme park is within the city of Los Angeles. The project scope includes grading, piles, retaining walls, and earth tiebacks, and construction of a maintenance roadways in the city portions that will impact several native protected trees. The tree expert, Katrina Burritt, provided an assessment of the property and addressed the project's impact on the proposed tree removals, the protected trees and shrubs within the project site. All findings were documented within the protected tree report that is dated October 2023, and it was submitted for Streets LA review. A Streets LA arborist inspected the subject location and verified the content of the report on November 8th, 2023. The findings revealed that there are a total of 21 protected trees and shrubs within the project limits in the city of Los Angeles. The project will require the removal of 11 coast live oak and 2 toyon to allow for the necessary grading, excavation, and other improvement work required for the construction of a new entertainment attraction. All oak trees and toyon shrubs proposed for removal are in good to fair condition. They measure approximately 4 to 48 inches in diameter by 10 to 40 feet in height. 13 of the 21 trees and shrubs require removal due to being within the footprint of the future grading and construction, and the remaining 8 native trees and shrubs within the project limits shall be protected in place throughout construction. As it pertains to the alternatives explored, we here at Streets LA attempt to preserve trees whenever possible and only consider tree removal after all feasible alternatives have been explored. According to the applicant, the project did explore alternatives to avoid impacting any protected trees. However, impact to any of the trees and shrubs is unavoidable, and 13 of the 21 protected trees will require removal due to an adjacent required fire access road, parking for the county fire station number 51, and other site constraints. The location, size, and condition of the protected trees and shrubs negates the possibility of tree preservation or relocation. So a total of 8 adjacent trees and shrubs consisting of 6 oaks and 2 toyon will be protected in place throughout construction. As for the condition, if this board approves the removal of the protected trees and shrubs, the applicant shall plant a total of 52 replacement trees and shrubs within the project boundaries. The applicant will plant 44 15-gallon container size coast live oaks and 8 15-gallon container size toyon on site to replace the 13 trees and shrubs, and this is in accordance with the board's 4-to-1 replacement policy. The survival of the trees and shrubs shall be guaranteed for a period of 3 years by bond, and the tree removal permit shall be issued by Streets LA upon notification by the Bureau of Engineering that the bond has been posted. Upon issuance of the protected tree removal permit, Streets LA shall be notified a minimum of 10 days prior to the trees being removed. The applicant's tree expert shall be on site the day of the tree removals to ensure the proper trees are removed. And also the applicant, in conjunction with the project's landscape architect or tree expert, shall be responsible to ensure that the tree and shrub removal permit and tree replacement conditions are in compliance. The replacement trees and shrubs shall follow the landscape plan to the fullest extent possible. Streets LA shall be notified no later than 5 days after the completion of the tree and shrub replacements, and also a Streets LA arborist will make arrangements to visit the site and approve the tree replacements as being in compliance with the permit conditions within 5 working days of the notification of planting completion. Another condition is that Streets LA shall be notified immediately if any permit conditions have been violated or cannot be fulfilled, and failure to comply with this requirement may result in fines or legal actions. And the applicant shall also defend, indemnify, and hold harmless the city, its agents, officers, or employees from any claim, action, or proceeding against the city or its agents, officers, or employees relating to or to attack, set aside, void, or annul this approval. For the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA aspect, the Department of City Planning prepared and certified the environmental impact report, which is case number EMV-2007-0254-EIR for the project, finding that the project, including the tree removals, will have less than a significant environmental effect with the incorporation of the mitigation measures that were identified in the EIR. And this EIR was utilized in forming the recommendations in this report and is on file with Streets LA and available to the public upon request. As for the notifications, the 4th Council District as well as the Community Forest Advisory Committee were informed of these tree removal permit requests on Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. And the council office was to notify Streets LA of any objections that were raised prior to hearing this matter, and to this date, no issues or concerns were raised by the council office at time of presenting this. The applicant was advised of the recommendations contained in the report, and this concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramirez. You gave a very thorough and detailed report, which I was happy to hear. Any questions or comments, colleagues? Hearing none. Okay. Just to confirm, we are removing 14 protected trees, correct, Mr. Ramirez?
It is a total of 13, which is the quantity, but it is only 2 toyon shrubs and 11 coast live oak trees. So 11 trees and 2 shrubs, which constitute 13 protected species.
Okay, got it. But they are replacing it with 52. Are any of the 52 also protected species as well?
They will be replaced in kind as per the species that's being removed at a 4-to-1 ratio on site.
Okay. And last question, you said the tree expert will be on site when removal happens. Is that city tree expert or is that an independent tree expert?
That is the independent, privately hired tree expert. Either themselves or somebody on their team will be present to ensure that the proper tree removals take place and ensure that the adjacent protected trees remain protected throughout construction.
And will then we go out back to inspect that this was done properly, the way we are both agreeing to do?
Yes, that is part of the conditions. So we will confirm that the proper trees have been removed, and an additional inspection will also take place confirming that the replacement trees are in compliance with our policies and guidelines.
I appreciate that. So even though we're always not the most happiest to remove any protected species, replacing it a 4-to-1 and 52 on site does provide a more environmental preference, in other words, so making sure that it gives a more environmental, climate to that area. So it brings more, is what I'm trying to say. Any questions or comments on anything, commissioners? Commissioner Reyes.
Just one question for my edification. Who's gonna maintain the trees?
NBC Universal will be
It's
maintaining the
NBC,
trees.
right?
Yes.
Okay. For the first 5 years, is that,
It is a bond that's posted
Okay.
to ensure their survival, and the bond runs for 3 years.
and then we take over after 3 years? The city takes over on the maintenance?
No, the
Who
maintenance
does?
will be performed, but this 3-year period will ensure that the trees establish.
Okay.
After that, the trees will they're expected to be sustained on just natural rainfall, so they'll be considered established at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
And after the 3 years, just piggybacking on Commissioner Reyes' question, after the 3 years, the maintenance like trimming and watering. So watering, we're just expected, natural rain, LA rain to happen. Okay, but what about trimming?
I believe that the NBC Universal will take on whatever trimming is necessary, maintenance, to ensure that the trees are.
Is there a way that we can put that on paper or somehow? NBC, are you guys here? Okay, go ahead. I just, because we're removing 14, which were technically under our jurisdiction, we're going to put in 52. After 3 years, you're going to need a big force to go trim those trees and maintain them. So I just want to make sure that NBC will take on some of the maintenance costs and the maintenance of the trees after the 3 years. So I think we have NBC here.
I'll defer that to Joy here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Madam President, Commissioners, I'm Joy Forbes with NBC Universal. Yes, in addition to the 3-year bond that's required by the city, we actually, in accordance with our environmental impact report, make sure that the trees are observed for a total of 5 years. So we'll do an extra 2 years after the bond ends. And then after that, it isn't typical for the coast live oaks and frankly the toyons to need to be trimmed. But our third-party arborists, again, will review these trees quarterly for those total of 5 years to make sure they're growing in a healthy manner and being sustained for the long term.
That sounds good. Very well. Thank you. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions from my colleagues. I just wanted to get some clarification for that. And now we have it in public stated. Thank you very much, NBC. Okay, given that there aren't any other comments or any objections, is there a motion to move item number 4 forward and forthwith? Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second? Thank you, Vice President Villegas. TJ Knight, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 4 forward and forthwith.
Very good. And we will take a roll call vote, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Davis, aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 4 is approved.
Very well. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for bringing this item forward, and thank you to NBC and the folks that are here. All right, colleagues, moving on to item number 5. This is a request in Council District 4 for a tree removal, and we do have public comment for this. I have 2 public comment cards and 2 in Zoom. I'm going to start with public comment with the letter V. 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 All right, moving on to public comment for 5, Mr. Greenspan. Greenspan, hearing none. Public comment for in-person is now closed. Moving on to the Zoom platform. TJ Knight.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. A caller ending in 645, if you would kindly unmute. Caller ending in 645, you should be receiving a pop-up on your Zoom screen. And go ahead and you'll have 2 minutes to offer your commentary on item number 5, starting now.
Good morning. My name is Jamie Hall. I'm the president of the Laurel Canyon Association. These trees are really the doorway to Laurel Canyon. When you are headed on Crescent Heights and Boulevard and you're headed to Laurel Canyon, you indelibly go underneath these trees, and they provide an immense amount of canopy. And we have struggled with this particular project because there's clearly problems with the sidewalks there. We're not going to say there aren't. But what we're concerned about is the mitigation. The city is suggesting that crepe myrtles be planted for the most part. I think there's some oak trees they want to plant on the other side of the street. But these crepe myrtles will never, even at full maturity, provide the same amount of canopy as these massive ficus trees. Please go into Google Earth and see how big the canopy is for those ficus trees. And so I'm sure the city can do a better job than crepe myrtles. They are just not going to ever provide the same amount of canopy, which is needed for pedestrians that are walking in the area. So the mitigation is inadequate, and we contest that the project statutorily exempt from CEQA. The other issue is that apparently there may be at least one method the city didn't explore with regard to sidewalk repairs. And I believe that a proposal was submitted to the city yesterday outlining that. The sidewalks that are further to the north are not as bad as the one next to Chevron, and perhaps those trees could be saved. But this is I guarantee you, if you greenlight this, there's going to be huge public reaction to this. People aren't paying attention right now. Not everyone subscribes to city agendas and know this is going to happen. But when you start getting those chainsaws out, people are going to notice, and there are going to be major objections. We ask that you do not approve the project now.
That's 2 minutes, Mr. Hall. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute. We did have, President Garcia, we did have 2 other virtual commenters on item number 5. They seem to have dropped off of the meeting. Also, for the record, I have distributed Mr. Hall's his comment received via the Google form to all commissioners and the Bureau as well.
Very well, thank you for that. So we do not have any more public speakers for item number 5 via
Correct.
Zoom.
That's correct.
Okay, public comment for item number 5 is now officially closed. This is a tree removal at 1514 through 1538 North Crescent Heights Boulevard and 8101 Sunset Boulevard along North Crescent Heights Boulevard. Recommending the board to, 1, determine that the sidewalk repair project at 1514, 1520, 1524, 1538 North Crescent Heights Boulevard and 8101 West Sunset Boulevard on North Crescent Heights Boulevard project is exempt from California Environment Quality Act pursuant to Public Resources Code Section 2180.25, Senate Bill SB 922. 2, concur with the Bureau of Engineering approval of the project. 3, approve the removal of 6 Indian laurel fig trees for the reconstruction of an inaccessible sidewalk and tree replacements. And 4, direct the Bureau of Engineering that the notice of exemption be filed with the State Office of Planning and Research and the Los Angeles County Clerk. And this morning we have Mr. Bañuelos here. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, President Garcia, Commissioners. Hector Banuelos with the Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. What we have before us is a request to allow city forces to remove 6 Indian laurel fig trees on the 1508 through 1538 block of North Crescent Heights Boulevard there in the Council District 4. This is a request as part of the citywide sidewalk repair program, and the Bureau of Engineering is the lead agency in identifying non-Americans with Disabilities Act compliant pedestrian facilities locations throughout the city of Los Angeles as part of the city's citywide sidewalk repair program. This is an access request, was made by the requester was cited that they were mobility impaired, so therefore it was identified as part of this program. The Streets LA team did inspect the site several times, several occasions, have met with the Bureau of Engineering representatives and trying to look for alternatives to save as many trees as possibly could, and trying to explore all feasible alternatives in doing so. We did meet with one of the property owners there on the corner there. There were standard gas station there, which we thought was probably the most ideal candidate for tree preservation or retaining the tree. However, it would require meandering and taking some of the property on to dedicate to the public right-of-way, and which the Standard Oil really was not, initially they agreed to maybe look into the matter and gave us hope in keeping at least one tree. However, sadly enough, they did not want to go through with the allowing that part of their property being now right-of-way. And so therefore that tree does need to be removed. The trees are very large, right? Very large specimens. It'd be a shame to lose them. That I agree with everybody on. However, it's just the size of the tree for the growth space is just, they've just grossly outgrown their growth space there, right? You have a 3-foot by 6-foot tree well. These trees measure probably between 24 to about 40 inches in diameter.
Wow.
You can see they're already larger than the growth space already that's there. And the sidewalk is anywhere between 12 inches to almost close to 3 feet, the displacement. Right? So it's a very large displacement. I cannot see anyone with a wheelchair trying to navigate across that path of travel to the sidewalk. They would have to use the other side of the street, and there's really no crosswalks going north of Sunset Boulevard anywhere by the by where this block ends. So we are requesting that the board allow approval of the removal of the trees and for the city to effect the repairs needed. to comply with the American Disabilities Act. And this is also, this is accordingly, and the project would be eligible for credit under the Willett settlement as well. So if approved, there was room to replace all 2-to-1 replacements. There's, we are proposing to plant the crepe myrtle, Natchez. It's a larger crepe myrtle species. It, you know, the space is so limited there, right? We only have a 7.5-foot wide sidewalk there. So there's not a whole lot of room there to plant large stature trees. Yeah, we're not going to be able to match anywhere close to the canopy that's given by the existing trees there. But if we do plant a large stature tree there, we'll probably be back at your board asking for permission to remove those trees later on in the future. I'll leave some work for my predecessor, for maybe my son later on. He has to deal with this, but you know, it's just we're in. If we had a crystal ball, see what our predecessor did back in the day, they probably wouldn't have planted the species. They would have probably selected a more ideal species that doesn't outgrow the growth space as quickly as these ones have. I'm not sure exactly how long these trees have been there, but they've been there for a while, right? And so it's just the trees need to be removed. So there is room to plant some trees. We're going to plant some trees on the backside, on the cross street there in Selma. So there's large parkways there. We're going to plant some oak trees along there, about 4 of them. Right, so coast live oak, native species. We're planting one desert willow across the street, which is a 4-foot parkway, which is appropriate for that tree species. And then we have the crepe myrtle going in the 3-foot by 6-foot wells, which is a very narrow growth space. But we feel, as arborists, as tree experts, that trees will be able to thrive in that limited growth space and provide some shade, at least, and some aesthetic benefit and environmental benefits to the community. The council office, the neighborhood Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, were notified of the tree removal. The council office did object to were opposed to removals initially. This has been going on. This request has been going on for several years now, right? So since 2021, and even prior to that, the applicant made a request. The Chevron Oil made a request to remove the tree, but then they fell under this sidewalk repair program, so therefore they rescinded their application. But the notifications went out, and the council office, they was opposed initially. However, now they are in support of the project, and they have no objections to the removal, as is needed in order for the city to effect sidewalk repairs at the location. So the Streets LA will be planting the replacement trees, and will be watering the trees for a minimum 5-year period. That concludes the presentation, and I'm here to address any questions that the board may have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bañuelos, for your very, very thorough report. Point of clarity, council has now supported this project.
This council office does support the project. Yes.
Okay, understood. And back on this same side of the sidewalk, how many will we replacing? Because I know we're going to remove, I think you said 6 on that side?
On that side, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be replacing 6 again, or 12?
6. There's room to plant 6 along that
Same
side
sidewalk.
of the street, and then across the street there's room for 1, and then an additional 4 up on Soma. Take that back. There's 7 trees up on that same side of the street. One tree across the street, and then 4 on Soma, make it a total of 12 trees.
Okay, understood. All right. Would those trees provide any instant shade, or is it going to take a while?
It'll take a while for they mature,
Okay.
for them to provide shade.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to provide some. I mean, they're relatively small trees, right? But they are going to get acclimated to their environment, and while they're growing, being nurtured, they'll then provide shade further on down the road.
Okay, very well. I see Vice President Villegas has her light on. Vice President?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Bañuelos, for your report. I was going to ask something similar just on the, to address the caller's statement. They're made a comment just that they dislike the crepe myrtle. Is that comments that you've heard before?
It's a smaller species tree, like I said, smaller stature. We cannot plant a large stature tree in the limited growth space that we have.
Yeah.
Doing so would bring us back to the board in a few more years.
Yeah, I did a site visit on this one just to see it for myself, and I know that the area is, buckled in some parts because of the tree growth. And then just, I know that you said it already, but just for the edification of the public, because the caller said, stipulated that once these trees are going to be removed, that some community members will, speak up or not like that the trees are going to be removed. But we are complying with the sidewalk repair program and the Willits case that's before the city. And this is deemed a site that needs to be rectified. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so we are not doing, the city as as an entity is not doing this on our own account, but we are asked to have this work done.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Just wanted to put that, for the record. All right. I appreciate it. And one last thing. So are there other trees in our lists that we have that provide shade, or is this the best alternative that we can provide the community?
It is our opinion that this is the best alternative to provide to the community based upon the limited growth space that we have.
Okay, because it's so narrow.
Yes. Yeah, so narrow, so small. Restricted growth space. I do want to add also that the trees are in fair to poor condition. I was out there at the location yesterday just looking at the trees, and they do have some crown dieback, and some trees appear to be infected with a disease called Botryopharia. It's a fungus disease that does affect the ability for the tree to conduct water throughout its canopy. So it's the trees, some of them are already in decline, and so it's just a matter of time before they fail on their own.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Hector. And last question, the trees that you're replacing this with are trees that I imagine have been researched that roots go down so that in 20 years from now, we're not having this same, other commissioners are not having this same issue 20 years from now by the sidewalk being broken, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I know we're being very thoughtful and conscious about that now, so thank you for that. Okay. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Given none, I'm very comfortable moving this item forward because that street really looks like it's very much needed on a repair. And sometimes we have to do these types of decisions, but definitely this is something, even if the Willits was not really, moving forward with that, I really do think it's something that we should have done anyway. So I'm very, I'm comfortable moving this item forward. So with that said, is there a motion, there is a second to a motion to approve item number 5?
Second.
Thank you, VP Villegas. Is TJ Knight, there's a first by me and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 5 forward and forthwith.
Very well. We'll take a roll call vote on item number 5, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 5 is approved.
Thank you so much. I just want to remind the public that even though this looks like a loss, it's such a big win because when Bureau of Street Services is done fixing that sidewalk, it is an absolutely change of aesthetics, of look, of just everything. It elevates that community, and it just really gives our folks that need disability or are on the wheelchair, or folks that have a stroller that go back and forth from there, it's going to give them so much relief. And I've seen it done already many times where the street looked a certain way, Street Services fixed it, and it just looked amazing after that. And even though it's a slight change, it's really much needed right now. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right.
We do our best.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. And with that, Mr. Bañuelos, have a good rest of the day. Unless you're here for the next item.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 6. This is a request for Bureau of Sanitation and the Bureau of Contract Administration. And just for proper procedures, we do have 2 public comment cards. One, Mr. Greenspan. Mr. Greenspan, hearing none. Second, H, starts with the letter H. And giving none. TJ Knight, do we have any public comment for item number 6 via the Zoom platform?
We do not, President Garcia.
Very well. Moving on, this is in all council district, a request from the Bureau of Sanitation and the Bureau of Contract Administration for a request for proposals, receipt, processing, recycling, and marketing of metals and household appliance materials. Recommending the board to, one, authorize the Director of Bureau of Sanitation to one, distribute and advertise the transmitted request for proposals for the receipt, processing, recycling, and marketing of metals and household appliance materials for the city of Los Angeles. 2, evaluate the proposals, select and interview the most qualified proposer based on established evaluation criteria. 3, negotiate a contract with the most qualified proposers. And 4, return to the Board of Public Works for authority to award and execute the contract or contracts subject to mayor and city council approval prior to contract execution. This morning, we have Mr. Isaac here. Good morning. Welcome. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning, President Garcia, Pro Tem President Davies, Vice President Villegas, and Commissioner Reyes, Executive Commissioner, and City Attorney. Well, she left. Okay. As you know, my name is Nat Isaac. I'm with the City of LA Sanitation, Solid Resources Support Services Division for over the past 30 years. And I've been working on a project for metals recycling for the past 7 years, in addition to my dead animal collection program. So I do something else as well. And today I figured since it's getting close to lunch, we might as well discuss something that's not related to dead animals. LA Sanitation has been collecting metals and household appliances for the past about 50 years. We've been collecting metals for almost over 100 years now, since about the 1930s. And all of it's been recycled into beneficial, reusable product, mostly other metals. With the advent of refrigerators and air conditioners and household appliances, there also came about a need for removing hazardous materials from those. So back in 1991, the state of California required all hazardous materials to be removed from household appliances prior to recycling the material. And in 2006, they insisted, or they made a new ruling that all recyclers have to be certified in the state of California to be able to remove those things. So the city's been collecting these materials and bringing them to these recycler facilities for the past 30, 40 years, at least with these new facilities. And the way we collect the materials is basically through our customer call center. Our customer call center receives calls and requests from residents who need to have their air conditioner, refrigerator, or scrap metal removed. And our crews are dedicated. We have dedicated crews for just metal materials and household appliances to go out there. Now, metal materials are defined as things like iron doors, small pieces of metal, window frames, bars, metal beams, etc. Metal shopping carts, which actually belong to the restaurant, to markets, but nevertheless we do collect those materials when they're left out and not collected by the markets themselves. Household appliances are considered as refrigerators, freezers, dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, water heaters, small electrical appliances. Those are the type of things that are considered as household appliances. So we collect all this material in one truck when the residents make the phone call. And last year in 2023, we had 108,000 requests for metals and household appliances. That totaled about 2,100 tons, about 178 tons per month, 180 tons per month. And we received from the recyclers revenue for the materials equaling to about $231,000 in 2023. Basically, that comes out to be about $111 per ton, which is the going rate between $80 to $200 per ton. But when you look at how much revenue we get for each stop, it's about only $2 per stop. So it's a very low amount. Nevertheless, we are recycling the material and we are receiving revenue for this. Currently, there are only 2 vendors in Southern California that accept this type of material. they're basically certified appliance recyclers that can handle refrigerators, freezers, etc. There are numerous scrap metal dealers, but only 2 that can handle the household appliances. Out of 142 in the whole entire state that are certified, there's only 2 in California, Southern California. While we could split this contract into 2 and have it for scrap metals as well as for certified for household appliances, it would be logistically troublesome and difficult and expensive to have duplicate the amount of trucks going out for similar type of material, although they have to go to different locations for recycling. Rather than do that, we combine the 2 materials into one stream and have only the certified appliance recyclers take the material, and out of which there's only 2 in Southern California that do that. So the certified recyclers have to remove all the hazardous materials from that. They have to take out the electronics from the materials as well that can be considered hazardous. Chlorofluorocarbons, polychlorinated biphenyls, capacitors, ballasts, and those things like that from the household appliances have to be removed and safely disposed of. We have never had a contract for this type of material. Prior to 2006, we were just taking the materials to any vendor that would process the material. After 2006, vendors were required to be certified, so we only took the materials to those certified recyclers. In 2016, we decided we needed to have a contract with these, and we began the RFP process, which was interrupted by the pandemic, and then now we are hopefully finally resolving this and get moving forward with a contract. So with an RFP first. And so we would like to request a release of an RFP and to negotiate terms with potential vendors and move forward in that way. So basically that ends my presentation. So if you have any questions, I'll take a few questions now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac, for your report. I don't have any questions on this item. Commissioner Reyes?
Just one question with collection of the materials by the contractor. Is there a potential for a circular economy to kind of close the loop that we could include in the RFP for the vendor to consider to just, make sure those materials are remanufactured or included in the manufacturing of other materials?
So in general, the materials are collected, first of all, by our crews, City Valley Sanitation crews, and they're brought to the certified appliance recyclers.
Right.
They, in turn, have a global economy, a global market that this material is brought into. So to limit it, to stream it only for the City of Los Angeles, I don't think it would be possible, considering the global nature of the metals market. It's typically shipped to China, and in China it's remanufactured or remade, and that's where a lot of the steel mills are located, and then it's shipped back throughout the world, whoever needs the steel. But steel definitely is recyclable and currently reused, currently remanufactured into other metals.
But in terms of those opportunities to exist here in the city of LA or in the region, LA San is looking into that potential, or we're not. We're just leaving it up to the collector.
Correct. We're not looking for sourcing materials that are from California specifically. I don't think there's any. As far as I know, there are no identifiers for where the material comes from, for steel comes from.
But we will keep an eye on it.
I'm sorry?
We will keep an eye on this opportunity. Is that's what I'm saying?
Correct.
Is for sanitation to always keep an eye on that potential, to have that opportunity exist here, to close that loop or create a circular economy related to that.
We'll definitely look for it. We are this particular RFP is for the processing and recycling of the materials to be recycled into new materials, not necessarily into manufacturing product.
Right, but there's a lot of metal in those materials. That's what I'm saying.
Yes, it's all
But and metal is a product
yes.
that can be used, reused, and be embedded in a circular economy. So we should always keep an eye on those opportunities here in the city as well.
Yes, I think in our requests for trucks, for example, we do require a certain amount of material is from recycled material.
Okay, that's all I want is to really just emphasize the circular economy opportunity for this material.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Metals definitely is, yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, for that. So, Mr. Isaac, with the request for proposal that you're putting up in front of us today, is the hope that we get multiple companies doing this? Because we have a pretty large city distance-wide, and so I imagine we don't want our middle and household trucks driving from like Silmar to the harbor, correct? Is that why we're putting this forward?
Correct. In fact, there are several reasons why we're looking for an RFP. One is to try to get as many vendors as possible that are interested in either becoming certified appliance recyclers because of the material we offer, or that are currently certified recyclers. Now, of the ones that are currently certified recyclers, there's 2 of them in Southern California. They have multiple locations throughout Los Angeles itself. So even though there's only 2 companies, those 2 companies have several locations throughout, at least 3, 4 in the valley, and then 2, 3 in the harbor and downtown area.
Okay, understood. Okay, I don't have any issues with this item. Any objections, colleagues? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 6 forward and forthwith? Thank you, Dr. Davis. Is there a second? Thank you, VP Villegas. TJ Knight, there's a first by Dr. Davis and a second by Vice President Villegas to move item number 6 forward and forthwith.
Very well, we'll take a roll call vote on item number 6, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes, and the item is approved.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you.
Isaac. Good seeing you. Have a good rest of the day to you and your team. Yay. Moving on to our last item on today's agenda, which is a request from Inao Council District from the Bureau of Sanitation and the Bureau of Contract Administration. And just for the record, I do not have any public comment cards for item number 7, nor do we have any public speaking via the social platform, correct?
That is correct, Madam President.
Okay, given that said, public comment for item number 7 is now officially closed. This is a sole source personal service contract, Southern California Disposal and Recycling Company, Inc. Transfer, transport, and disposal services of city waste from the West Los Angeles waste shed to city designated facilities. Recommending the board to 1, approve and forward this report with transmittals to the mayor and city council with the request that the Board of Public Works be authorized to execute a sole source personal service contract with Southern California Disposal and Recycling Company, Inc. to provide transfer, transport, and disposal services of solid waste generated in the West Los Angeles waste shed and collected by the city of Los Angeles to city designated facilities for final disposal or beneficial reuse. And 2, upon the mayor's and council's authorization, the president or 2 members of the board will execute this contract. And this morning we have Ms. Valencia here as well. Good morning, Ms. Valencia. We're still morning.
Oh, hello again. My name is Jocelyn Valencia, an environmental engineering associate with LA Sanitation and Environment in the Solid Resources Support Services Division. LA San is requesting the authority to award and execute a sole source contract with Southern California Disposal and Recycling Co., Inc. for the transfer, transport, and disposal services of city single-family household waste from the West Los Angeles waste shed to city designated facilities. LA San concluded that SoCal Disposal is the only transfer station within the West Los Angeles waste shed that has sufficient capacity for the city's residential waste. Thus, the decision was made not to go out to bid. I will elaborate on this further in the presentation. Most city residential collected waste is disposed of at landfills that, due to their distance, require contracting services for the receipt and transfer of the solid waste. For the West LA District, the Sunshine Canyon landfill is located 23.4 miles away from the West LA collection yard. Currently, refuse from West LA is taken to 2 locations. The city's Central Los Angeles Recycling Transfer Station, CLARTS, which is 14 miles away from the West LA collection yard, and SoCal Disposal, which in comparison is only 1.7 miles away. SoCal Disposal currently takes the majority of the residential West LA black bin material through an existing sole source contract. SoCal Disposal has a throughput capacity of 1,056 tons and a max permit capacity of 2,112 tons. During fiscal year 2022 through 2023, the average amount of waste delivered to SoCal Disposal was 313 tons per day. SoCal Disposal's proximity to the West LA collection yard has allowed city drivers to collect waste more efficiently, allowing more time spent at curbsides and less time traveling to transfer stations or landfills that are further away. After conducting a search of solid waste facility permits issued by CalRecycle for facilities within or near the West LA Waste the only other facility identified was Culver City Transfer/Recycling Station, which is 5.6 miles away from the West LA yard. Culver City Transfer Station has a throughput and max permit capacity of only 500 tons, and the majority of their permitted tonnage is already accounted for by tonnage from Culver City and other jurisdictions. Because of this, they would not be able to handle the current average daily tonnage transferred through SoCal Disposal and would also not be able to serve as a contingency site for other waste shed tonnage due to its limited capacity. Therefore, SoCal Disposal is the only transfer station in the West LA waste shed with sufficient tonnage capacity to handle the city's regular collection services and serve as a contingency transfer station if CLARTS is unavailable. In the past, SoCal Disposal has been selected and awarded 2 contracts to provide transfer, transport, and disposal services of city waste for the West LA waste shed. Contract 109961 in 2006, following the request for proposal process, and Contract 123215 in March of 2013 as a sole source contract that expired on October 31st. We are now on a 6-month extension that will expire on April 30th, 2024. LA Sand is now requesting the authority to award and execute a sole source contract with Southern California Disposal after the expiration of the existing contract. The contract term will be for 5 years with 2 5-year renewal options for a potential 15-year agreement at the city's sole discretion. Additionally, the city may elect to extend the agreement on a month-to-month basis for a maximum of 6 months, during which period the city and SoCal Disposal shall continue performance. The city may extend the agreement on a month-to-month basis before the end of either the initial 5-year term or at the end of any renewal term. SoCal Disposal will receive a minimum of 100 tons per day and up to 600 tons per day on an as-needed basis. Due to the nature of the contract, the cost to the contractor may vary. The estimated tip fee cost for the first year of the contract is $36.34 and is subject to change each year by an inflation factor of up to 6%. Additionally, the transportation fuel surcharge cost, which is adjusted weekly based on a calculation accounting for the average fuel price and a baseline fuel price, is added to the total service cost. There is no contractual ceiling as this is a tip fee-based contract. The estimated cost for the first 5-year contract is $24 million, and the estimated cost for the potential 15-year contract is $77 million. SoCal Disposal has consistently demonstrated its commitment to providing convenient and contingent transfer services to the city, all while adhering to the highest standards of quality and responsibility. Not only is it the only transfer station in the West LA region with the capacity to accept city waste, but it is also the closest facility to the West LA yard, promoting the efficiency of our operations. Thus, we are requesting the authority to award and execute a sole source contract with Southern California Disposal and Recycling Co. Inc. Thank you. I am now open to answering any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Ms. Valencia. You were very thorough. Any questions? I have Vice President Villegas.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your report. It was really thorough. I agree. I just, more of a comment, thank you just for putting it on record, how we collect and the need for a transfer station in this part of town. If you can't answer this question today, maybe you can just give me an answer on email or send it over to TJ so he can share it with us. Are we doing anything as a bureau to identify other parts of the city that would be feasible for a transfer station?
I'm going to call James.
Hi, good morning, Commissioner Villegas. So to answer your question, we currently only operate one existing transfer station in downtown, the Central LA Recycling Transfer Station. And for our other transfer services, for the southern part of the city, we do contract that out through other vendors. So we do also utilize transfer services through Republic and Waste Management on an as-needed basis. But that's for more of the north central and south LA part of the city. To Jocelyn's point on her presentation, SoCal Disposal is the only facility operating in the West LA waste shed that meets our operational needs in terms of capacity and turnaround time. We continue to look for potential for new facilities, kind of as opportunities arise, but it is fairly limited just in terms of the amount of space and the infrastructure needed for transfer and other solid waste operations. They're fairly established in the region.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Villegas. Commissioner Reyes?
And just to add it, I think it's also an issue of permitting. A lot of the permitting process will be very difficult for another MRF with the city, but we should always have that in our mind because if anything, we only have one, we should have more. And that's probably part of a plan that should be considered. My question is, for this sole source contract, are they also accepting or doing business with other cities? Do you know that? I'm just looking at capacity.
So we are the only city.
We are the only city that they are servicing. All right, that's good to know. Thank you.
So clarifying question and piggybacking on that, is Southern California Disposal and Recycling Company located in the city of Los Angeles?
So their facility is located in Santa Monica.
I'm sorry? Santa Monica.
In Santa
Okay.
Monica. Yeah, so the physical address is in Santa Monica, but they're, as Jocelyn mentioned, a mile away from our West LA collection yard, which is in the city.
Which is convenient, right? And so if this Southern California Disposal and Recycling Center is in the city of Santa Monica, the other one we have is Clark's, right? And that's it?
Yes.
For our city?
Well, that's it. That's it for the West LA waste shed.
Okay.
We do have other transfer facilities in South LA that we contract through Republic and Waste Management that we use on an as-needed basis. But primarily our main two facilities are SoCal Disposal for the West and Clark's for North Central and South LA collected materials.
Okay, understood. What is the, this is a one-year contract with month to month or 5 years?
No, so it has the potential to be a 15-year contract.
15-year.
Yeah, so it'll be 5 years, and then we have 2 renewal options that are 5 years.
Okay, understood. Okay, I don't have any, we need this, so I don't have any issues with this. Any other comments, objections? Hearing none, is there a motion on the table to move item number 7 forward and forthwith? Thank you, Commissioner Reyes, and I'll take Dr. Davis second. TJ Knight, there's a first by Commissioner Reyes and a second by Dr. Davis to move item number 7 forward and forthwith.
Very good. We will take a roll call vote on item number 7, starting with you, Madam President.
Aye.
Vice President Villegas.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis. Aye. Thank you. And Commissioner Reyes.
Aye.
All ayes. Item number 7 is approved.
Very well. Thank you so much for doing this work. And thank you for being here this morning. All right, colleagues. TJ Knight, is that the last of our voting items?
Yes, it is, Madam President.
Very well. Given that is the last of our voting items, it is 11:55 and this meeting's officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of the day. Good seeing you.